Masortim, also known as Shomrei Masoreh, upholders of tradition, is an Israeli term of self-definition, describing those who perceive and describe themselves as neither strictly religious nor secular. Usually, they observe a number of minhagim and several basic religious commandments that are accounted as several of the most recognizable symbols of the Jewish tradition, and in doing so, they express their affinity to the Jewish people, and especially their will to continue their family's religious customs and traditions, as they maintain that there is a need to preserve the traditional values and customs, in order to guard the continuity of the existence of the Jewish people, and to the extent that at times the observance of traditions, minhagim and family customs become stronger than religious observance. One must also note, not to confuse the Israeli term, Masorti, with conservative Judaism's alternative name, Masorti Judaism. The majority of Shomrei Masoreh are Mizrahi Jews, i.e., those of Oriental origin. The exact number of the Masortim is hard to determine, since it is based upon the self-definition of the participants in the questionnaires. However, according to Israel's Central Bureau of Statistics, as of 2006, 39% out of the Jewish population within Israel define themselves as Shomrei Masoreh, the tradition, the family and the Mizrahi sector. Shomrei Masoreh perceive the preservation of the Jewish tradition, minhagim, and family customs, as an educational and a family value. The tradition, minhagim, and family customs is also relevant in terms of the Jewish denomination of origin affiliation, and thus the percentage of Shomrei Masoreh is especially high among the Mizrahi denomination of origin affiliation. Many of them define themselves as Shomer Masoreh, even if some or part of their lifestyles customs are generally accounted as secular. Still, they pay heed to preserving and keeping the Jewish tradition heritage as it was observed in their or their parents' country of origin. In that conjunction, one should mention the political party of Shas, who raised the banner of a slogan that swept many non-religious Orthodox Mizrahi denomination voters, who, nevertheless, see the importance of preserving their Jewish tradition denomination. One may not find many Ashkenazi Israelis defining themselves as Shomer Masoreh. This is because, among other reasons, the dichotomy that was created after the Age of Enlightenment, between secular, Reform and Orthodox European Jews, was a dichotomy that did not exist among the Middle Eastern Jews. The traditionalist and tradition keeper distinguishing qualities. The Masortim are not a defined type of Judaism, and their attitude towards the religious observance has much to do with one's personal preferences and tendencies, and in the context of their desire to see themselves as part of the comprehensive Jewish religious system, without being obligated to full observance of the religious commandments. Nevertheless, one may ascribe to the majority of them a notable distinguishing quality, the preservation of the basic Jewish traditional minhagim, that are accounted of the most recognizable elements of Judaism. Kashrut observance. Many Masortim give heed not to eat pork, seafood, or any other non-kosher food, and observe the separation of milk and meat, kitchen activities and dishes. Mezuzah, affixing a mezuzah at the house's front door, attending their synagogues on Shabbat and on the most recognizable Jewish festivals, on regular basis. Some even wear the tefillin every morning. Following Orthodox traditions and maintaining an Orthodox atmosphere on family events, such as weddings, bar mitzvah, and brit milah. Usually, the male does not wear a kippah, yarmulke, and thus does not appear observant religious. Some keep a yarmulke within the pocket or in their car, instead of wearing it, as to be ready for any event or time that the Shabbat or a Jewish festival has come, and thus is time for them to pull out the yarmulke and start observing. Also, they will be ready to go to the synagogue at any given time, as well as attend a wedding or any other event with a religious aspect in it. Some Masortim prefer to send their children to religious schools, especially during their children's infant and elementary school education periods. Others tend to regularly visit their rabbis and other Kabbalist figures and take their advice on a regular basis. Every Masorti level of observance depends only on one's own free will and one's personal selection of what is perceived by him as a relevant religious commandment or custom.